XPENG New Gen Iron. Actually, I have mixed feelings now because over the past 7 years, in order to make the working very lightly and very elegantly, we did a lot of work and we try to mass produce iron as well. Thank you, Aaron. You can go to have a rest. This is a very difficult process because today iron is still under the R&D stage, but we plan next April we are going to enter the mass production preparation stage with hardware and software. Today, the iron you see very gently and also walking like the model. A lot of robots in the industry, you can hear the noise of walking very loud. And also the impact on the floor is very big. In the past, the robots will work like this. But we are actually always want to preparing for the mass production. During the rehearsal, some of the colleagues were saying that, is there a real human inside the iron? No, actually not. Next, I want to first of all tell you guys that we are already starting the mass production preparation of our humanoid robots. We hope it can be lower than 1.7 meters, also can be lighter, can be more good looking and safer for our customers. We will also enhance the reliability of our mass production robots. This is what we are doing. Next, I want to use a video robots. We are making human. I told him, actually, you are creating intelligent human. In the future, robots will be the life partners and also maybe your colleague. That's why it's more like intelligent human has the intelligence to create a better life with human beings. That's why the next gen iron has very flexible bones and also very solid muscle, bionic, and also very soft skin. We hope it can also have the similar height as human beings, inside out, human-like. That's why we designed the human-like spine for the next gen iron. It will be able to actually go down, bend like human beings. I cannot touch the floor, so I will not show you, but iron can. And also around the lumbar area, we can also have flexible movements. No matter it's lying, standing, getting up, doing some easy gestures and movements, all of them can achieve on the next gen iron. In addition, we also have bionic muscles on iron. It can be more like human with different body shapes. You can choose a little bit fatter iron or like me, a slimmer iron. Or you can customize your iron based on your preferences. We also offer you the full coverage soft skin So the robot is warmer and also more intimate. In the future, can go to the households. This skin touch very softly, and on this new generation iron, we also create some touch sensors. Different areas like the hands, they can have interaction using the detectors. With humanoid bones, muscles, and skins, we can say that iron can have different body shapes and sexes. As you can see on the slide, we have two male robots and two female robots. I suspect that just like you buy the car, you can choose different colors, exterior, interior. In the future, when you buy the robot, you can choose the sex, and you can choose the hair longer or not, or the clothes, what kind of purpose. So do you want to achieve this? If you want, then let's see some hypotheses. If Aaron wears different clothing, it will become actually people from different industries. I believe in the future we have different robots. We have human for sure, and also we have Aaron, this kind of intelligent human. What's more, for our next-gen Iron, it also has the head-mounted 3D curved display. A lot of sensors inside, including the visual sensors. We have the cameras. We also have the millimeter wave radar. We also have a lot of very sophisticated components. For the head, for the face, you can have different expressions. With the screen, the display here, you can see the emotions of Iron. We are also developing based on other kind of features like ear and also the mouth and so on. So it's actually the integration of different capabilities. We also developed the bionic dynamic shoulders for our next-gen Iron. So our humanoid robots can stretch their shoulder like human beings, and they can achieve the same level of flexibility. And next point is the most difficult one, dexterous hands. This actually is very difficult to mass produce because for the hands, not too big, very small, but we need to be more like human hands. For human hands, actually, is the most sophisticated organ. For Iron, we developed 22 joint flexibilities for a single hand, and also we developed the smallest frequency regarding the joints. So single hand can achieve 22 different degrees of flexibility. And for Iron, the fingers can actually support a very small item, as you can see on the slide. In addition, the working of Iron, no matter the gesture or the dancing or the sitting gesture, very gentle and also very soft. We add the flexibility at the tipping point of the feet, just like the models walking on the stage. We also actually adopt the first all-solid-state battery in the industry on Iron. A lot of people are asking, are you talking about the all-solid battery or semi-solid-state battery? And why you don't use it on the cars? Because for robots, it's only less than 2 kilowatt-hour battery. So I think humanoid robots will be the opportunity for us to mass produce the solid-state battery, because for humanoid robots, the safety requirements will be more stringent. For cars, we are facing the roads, the outdoors, but for our robots, we use it in office, in shopping malls, in your households. So we need to achieve the top safety standards. In addition, we use 3 Turing AI chips on the next-gen Iron with the maximum computing power of 2,250 TOPS. I believe this is the most powerful robot in the industry. And very possibly next year will be the smartest robot because using the computing power that I mentioned, we actually combine 3 large models, VLT plus VLA plus VLM. So as we all know, VLA actually comes from the cars. VLM is also from cars. But we add the new VLT large model. This large model is the concept and also is the model first created by XPENG. It's also today the first time for us to announce VLT large model will be the core engine for robot autonomous action. It's actually like the brain of our humanoid robots for their decision making, especially in the real world. For instance, how the body is going to move, how the hands are going to adjust, and how they are going to take different actions. This VLT large model is extremely valuable. Also, the VLA big model will also be applied on our XPENG next-gen Iron, but we need to say that it will be much more difficult because on the car we have one engine going forward, going backward, going left, and going right. But for a robot, we have 82 joints. So you can think about actually tons of combinations, from hands to feet to shoulder to lumbar to head. A lot of gestures will be a challenge for us, but we firmly believe that this VLA large model will be extremely useful for the body control and have a unified intelligence. Also, XPENG, last year, we has established the first embodied intelligence data factory in Guangzhou. We believe no matter your computing power is high or not, data will be the key. How can we receive massive data over time? I think this is very important for our robots to be more generalized. Here, let me allow to make it still confidential because in the future I will disclose more and more to you guys how XPENG can use the massive data to support the mass production of our robots. Regarding our Iron, we also want to mention about the 3 laws of robotics because now we extend these 3 laws of robotics. As we all know, the first law is that robots cannot harm humans, cannot let human beings getting harmed because of no action. Second law is robots needs to obey the instructions of human unless this instruction is in conflict with the first law. The third law is the robots need to protect its self-existence unless it's in conflict with the first and the second law. Now, for our company, we are thinking the fourth law that robots cannot disclose any human privacy because they have ears, they have eyes to hear and also to see everything around you. This kind of active safety protection will be actually very important for our company to develop for our customers. We all know that in cars we have AEB feature. Through rules and algorithms, we can protect the occupants. But for robots, can we have similar feature? Maybe not every one of you knows the complicated process of robot development. Sometimes it will go crazy, dancing. Suddenly, you can think about 70 kilograms robot. If he kicks you, then what you can do? That's why we need to have this kind of active safety protection without harming people. This is crucial. We can see that very frequently, including in our company, we have shoot this kind of video. We can kick the robot, and the robot can still be balanced. Is this safe? No, because during the movement, if you kick him, if the floor is not flat or your pet is on the floor, then the robot will actually step on the pet or step on the pit on the road. That's why we need to think about how can we protect actually the pets, the people, the conditions around the robots. All of this are belonging to our working scope regarding the iron development.
Next is about commercialization. Many may concern that this is your 8th generation of robot, and when can you actually make it a commercial product and mass produce it? It is something that many would ask. Actually, 2 years ago, we've been contemplating about it, and we would like to share some of our insights and observations. First, should we introduce our robot into factory to tighten the screw? It is actually the easiest settings we believe robot can perform, but after 1 year of trial, we found that it's not suitable. Why the case? Because first, the most difficult part of the robot, we believe, is hand. And when you perform the work, like tightening the screw, usually it would just take 1 month for the robot to have its hand wear. Not to mention it has 2 hands, and the cost for that is very costly. Not to mention the manufacturing skill between Chinese and the American workers are different. Therefore, it's very cost-effective to hire Chinese workers in our factory. That's why we believe it is not the best way to introduce the robot into factory from both commercialization, from both the technology and the usability. Therefore, having the robot to tighten the screw is not our priority. It may become later, but not for now. So that's why we cancel it. Then how about the household chores? We often run into videos, and I also excited about the vision because I'm kind of a lazy person. For all those household chores, I would rarely perform myself. Can I have a robot to actually do that for me? But still, we believe that it is still not viable. First, it's because of safety. As I've said, for a family, usually have about 100 square meters area. Not to mention all of these obstacles, the items that you stacked in your house. It's very difficult for your robot to not get tripped over or just run into your furniture, the pads. I believe no single companies in robotics can actually ensure safety in the household. That's why I think safety would be the greatest challenge to hinder that development. The second is generalization, because you have different household settings. How can you actually ensure the robot can learn your settings and perform accordingly? I think it's very difficult based on our current technology. That's why we decided to pause it for now, even though we may choose to deploy it in our household in the long term. That's why, after all of these considerations, we decided that we want to prioritize our commercial settings. The first, we expect that it would be deployed in 3 kinds of scenarios. When I was in the mobile internet industry, we often say about vault protection, guarantee, and I think it's similar in robots. We often follow same kind of rules. Like for robots, we believe that it can perform work like tour guide, shopping guide, and even reception in a company. So these 3 kinds of capabilities is very likely to be deployed in the real world. For our next-gen Iron, we hope that it will not be remotely controlled. Instead, it can be instructed via natural language. But of course, it needs to undergo some basic training. Instructing it how to better guide the people, you need to have those materials that input into the system so that this robot can actually introduce themselves. And next year, our robots are very likely to show up in our XPENG stores to introduce our product. You'll probably see our robots introducing our product, but sorry, they can only introduce the car, they cannot actually test ride with you. Not to mention, it can probably to lead you or guide you in our manufacturing base. In the coming future, this may generate a new kind of occupation that we will require people to teach, instruct, and manage the robot. For example, one manager in charge of a group of 7 robots that can perform the work that dozens of people can do. This would be a dedicated occupation probably in the future. Next is about mass production, because we really take it seriously. And after our development of our next-gen iron, many of our labor will be actually concentrated into our mass production, hoping that we can achieve the kind of capability, making sure that our robot can see, listen, understand, even though it may perform slowly, but it can ensure that it's operable. And we often say that it's more difficult to mass produce the robot than to build a robot ourselves. And we actually took many detours, and we would like to share some of our experiences with you on this AI Day. First, in the past, when I actually got into the auto industry 11 years ago, we believe that car is actually hardware defined, and to think about the software, how to better be compatible with the hardware. Therefore, the software providers can actually assist the car OEMs. However, it's totally different in robotics because it is a software-defined hardware. You can see that our iron, they actually learn how to walk through the reinforcement learning, take some simple steps, because at that time it can only do so based on that hardware and the software. But if you want to power our robot using the new model, due to the different architecture and different software, the hardware may probably need to adjust it accordingly. And in this field, well, to be bluntly, many of the car OEMs, the suppliers or the partners, they may find that a lot of the software provider in the car manufacturing industry can hardly perform very well in the robotic industry. Second, people would ask about whether the robotics, what is the standard for the robotic quality? And from our perspective, we believe that the quality of robots will likely go beyond that of the stringent automotive grade, because we also work on the flying cars. We believe that this too would be, well, very rigid, more rigid than the car. For example, our battery design, well, is more stringent than that of the car. We worry about catching fire in the household or building. Not to mention, the robot has 82 joints. So, imagine a car, if the engine fails, it cannot drive. But there are 82 joints on a robot. If one fails, well, the whole may collapse. Oftentimes, we will have situations like a joint fell and the electricity will break down, the robot would just fall over. That's why the robot would have very high requirements for safety, much higher than that of the car. And for perception design and domain controller design, we actually benchmark against the car and even higher than that. The third lessons we learned is that we find that most of the car makers, they would like integration and innovation to do this at both the same time. But for robotic manufacturers, it's more about fusion and innovation. How can it better fuse the software and integrate to make it coordinate? Because the eyes, the hands, the legs of the robot need to be coordinated. These are powered by two different systems. It's very difficult. That's why we required full fusion. Fusion and innovation is actually the foundation for robotic development, and this is a great challenge. I believe that for the future robotic manufacturer, many of them would prefer the full-stack self-development. And for those choose for integration, well, it may be very difficult for them to venture into this field. That's why we believe that mass-producing the advanced humanoids is as difficult as building a robotaxi with an immature hardware and a software supply chain, just like back in 2015. That's why I would take the lead to build a robotic team. And so far, we have 10 R&D teams working on the robotic development. So apart from the robotic centers, we have other departments that would also work on the R&D. Not to mention, we have more than 20 partnering departments, over 1,000 people that will support our overall development. First, let's